Well, good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning. It's Wednesday, and if it's Wednesday, it must be Faith Chat from Yuma, Arizona at Faith Lutheran Church. Hope you folks are all doing well and staying well during this difficult time. We're always interested in comments from people and letters and emails and phone messages that come in from our church members, not only within our community, but also our seasonal members, and we call this section the news from the pews. And we have a number of people that have responded this week, and I'd like to just share a brief response to them. Sylvia Mellon continues to weekly send a message. In fact, Sylvia this week sent two. One to say that she appreciated our worship service, and the second to say that she is now in the boondocks southeast of Staples, Minnesota. Well, Sylvia, I hope you're doing well in the boondocks. It seems that you must be, because you said you are now canning strawberry jam. Sylvia, this brings back memory of being in Minnesota in the summertime with my mother. She would can and the kitchen would be just steaming as she was boiling jars and things were boiling, and you had to just stay out of her way. So I can just picture that image of you, Sylvia, and I hope that when you're finished, that one of those jars of strawberry jam will be sent back this way so the pastor here at Faith Lutheran Church can enjoy it as well. We've also heard from folks for the first time from the Foxes, Bob and Jan. They are also summering in Minnesota, and we're delighted that they've responded to us, and it's good to hear from them as well. A note from Jenny Martin this week, appreciating our service and identifying a message that she sends to her family in Washington. I will not use the hashtag on air because this is a family show, but Jenny, it did make me chuckle when I saw that. And then Tammy Garrow again sends a beautiful note to us. We appreciate her response, and from all of the people out there, continue to send those notes and letters in and emails so that we can share those with the rest of our church family. News from the pews. Now, this past week we also had our council meeting, and our president of our council is here with us today, and we're going to ask Robert to step forward now and to share with us an update on council decisions. Rob?
Greetings to members and friends of Faith Lutheran Church. Your church council sends a warm hello. We met this past Thursday, June 11th, and we discussed numerous items, and I would like to give you just a brief update of the council and what is going on in the life at Faith Lutheran Church. First item is two items that are not ready yet, but so to say they're in the oven getting cooked. Look for them to come in the future. Is an opportunity to do electronic giving and also a pictorial directory. And again, these are in the works, and we're excited to be able to be offering new items to our members and friends. Another item that has happened is we've entered into an agreement with the Sons of Norway. We're able to provide a room designated for the Sons of Norway for them to store their items and use throughout the year, and we're delighted to have them as part of the ministry and outreach at Faith Lutheran Church.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
And then last item I would like to address is the church council has decided that beginning July 5th, we will begin our in-house worship services, and we would like to extend a warm welcome to our members to begin joining us for in-house worship after being in exile for a good number of weeks. And please remember that we're not pressuring you to attend, please, as you're comfortable, come and attend. We do have a task force in place that is dealing with the protocol, sanitization, and preparation of the facilities, and we will be doing our diligence on that side of preparing our facility for a warm and meaningful time of worship for everyone who chooses to come. And again, we are excited to be open for services, and we thank you so much for your patience during the past several weeks, and we look forward to a new chapter and a new beginning of returning to services. I would like again to say thank you to all of you for joining us in Faith Chats, and I'm going to close for now and turn it over to Reverend Glenn. Thank you.
And thank you, Rob. And I want to say we appreciate, the whole church does, I know I speak for all of us, appreciate your leadership during this time and the behind the camera work that you've done so that we can have this communication with our congregation. You've given a great deal of your time, and it's deeply appreciated, and blessings on you.
Thank you.
So, as Rob moves back behind the camera, I will move in front again and introduce to us our Faith Chat Bible study for this week. It is, again, we're speaking from the Q source, the earliest teachings of Jesus' teachings in the Gospel accounts of Matthew and Luke. And today I'm going to be reading from the 11th chapter of Matthew. This is a lesson that was read to us in our Sunday worship service, and I'd like to underscore it with you today and look at it a little more closely. It starts in chapter 11 in verse 2. It says, "When John heard in prison what the Messiah was doing, he sent word by his disciples and said to him, 'Are you the one to come, or are we to wait for another?' Jesus answered them, 'Go and tell John what you hear and what you see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. And blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me.'" This is a very interesting scripture, and one of the foundational scriptures that we see in this Q source of this exchange and relationship between John the Baptist and Jesus. It is clear from our understanding that John the Baptist was the one that is preparing the way, for the Messiah to come. And as I said on Sunday, he is the one that could tell God's time. And the power then of his message in preparation for that is underscored by Jesus' affirmation of his role in all of this. But look between the lines here. Look a little bit deeper. John is in prison. And he is wrestling with the fact that has the hand of God that is placed upon him, has he carried out the task that God has enlisted him to do? So he knows about this Jesus of Nazareth. He knows of the ministry that he has been performing. But he is uncertain in his heart, is he the one? So he sends his disciples to ask that question. And as I said on Sunday, it is telling to us Jesus' response. He says to the disciples of John, "Go and tell John what you see and what you hear." The acts of God that are being identified within our lives, within the world in which we live, that are all about us. Tell him what you see and hear. Of the deaf hearing, of the blind seeing, of the lepers being cleansed, of the healing that's going on. Have the eyes to see that, the ears to hear that message. And tell John. And John will know. Because it is clear that John could tell time. God's time. And God's time is now. God's time is not sometime in the future. God's time is not sometime in the past. God's time is the time that is before us, and it is now. And John proclaims that message and that power, and Jesus affirms John's role in all of that with us today. I think it's interesting to note that when Jesus extols John and calls him more than a prophet, he says that no one born of a woman is greater than John. What an interesting way to say something. But he is saying the significance of John's preparation for this time. And I would think in our own lives that would be important for us as we receive the gift of God's grace and God's message in our lives, that we prepare for it. That John is there for a purpose, a time of preparation. So I want us this today, in following up on what I said on Sunday, is to be more open to the receiving of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit in your life. As I was saying on Sunday, to breathe in the Spirit. And I want to reiterate with you again now, 3 days later, are you practicing what I asked you to do on Sunday? Don't make me come now and make house calls to see if you are, because this is important. Again, 5 minutes in your day. You turn off the TV, you put aside the cell phone, you push back on all of the claims on your life, and you create a space, a spiritual space, where God can speak to your life, where the Spirit can enter your life, rejuvenate you. It will make such a change in your day. I can't begin to tell you how important it is. Feet flat on the ground, sitting upright, hands folded, eyes closed. It's a great gift. Let me read a couple of words to you from people from this wonderful book called Catch Your Breath. It's all about allowing the Spirit to come into our lives. And these are words from contemplatives, people who have found that the gift of the Spirit is something that can be cultivated, that can be prepared for, if you would just set aside the time for it. From Thomas Merton and Diane Eck, they read, meditation is one of the ways in which the spiritual person keeps awake, the way the spiritual person comes alive. Staying awake and keeping watch is a serious and a difficult spiritual discipline, especially for people in our age. In the Garden of Gethsemane, when Jesus asked his disciples to stay awake and pray, he was not calling them on some heroic action. He was not asking them to do anything at all. He was just calling them for their simple attention, their watchfulness. And that was the affinity that was so difficult for them. And for us, friends, God is asking us the same thing. Developing the capacity for stable attention is the most important of the spiritual arts. Without attention, there can be no prayer. Can you recall a time in your life when you were so absorbed in an experience, so absorbed in something that nothing else mattered, you were totally fixed? That's what we should be able to do with our God. We should be able to set aside that time where nothing else is of consequence, just that time with God alone. And you'll find yourself so blessed when you find that discipline, that spiritual discipline of set aside that time to be with God. Friends, 5 minutes. And now I'm going to keep getting after you. Today, next week, and in the following 5 minutes. It will be the foundational piece now that will internally change our lives, and then externally will change our church and our witness and our ministry right here, right now at Faith Lutheran Church. God bless you this week. God bless you in your time of prayer and contemplation. Stay well, stay healthy, and we look forward to speaking with you very soon. God be with you.